I'm usually not a big fan of personality tests, especially those that label us based on our birth dates. But there are 3 personality tests that have really helped me in understanding myself better, understanding my life patterns, and also understanding other people. And in this video, I want to share with you what these 3 tests are and how they can improve the quality of your life as well. I'll also tell you where you can take the quiz to know which type you are for each test. Taking these tests will only take a few minutes and you'll get a gold mine of information. For example, one of those tests will help you take better care of yourself, of your physical health, mental and emotional health as well. Another test will help you build or break habits and also achieve your goals faster. And the last test will help you improve the quality of your relationships, especially with the people who are very close to you. So the first personality test will help you figure out your Ayurvedic archetype, also called dosha. This is one of the most useful things I've learned in the past couple of years. Ayurveda is the oldest health system in the world. It comes from India and it's the sister science of yoga. According to Ayurveda, there are 3 main archetypes called doshas: Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Each archetype has its own set of characteristics that influence our mental and emotional states and our physical health. Everyone has the 3 archetypes, but in different proportions. We usually have one archetype that's predominant. So the first archetype is Vata dosha. So people who are predominantly Vata tend to be very creative, to think outside the box, to think a lot actually, and to be sort of free-spirited. But when their Vata is out of balance, when it's too intense, they can get easily distracted and quickly get bored. Vata people also tend to have difficulty committing to one thing and following through on their ideas. And because of their tendency to overthink, they can sometimes experience anxiety and even insomnia. So some of the biggest strengths of a Vata personality are their creativity and their independence. On the downside, they often struggle to focus and follow through. I'm very Vata. For a long time, I thought there was something really wrong with me because I changed my mind constantly and I had difficulty finishing any project I would start. Still, I really love being Vata, especially now that I know how to use its strength better and balance out its weaknesses. For example, for us Vata people, it's essential that we learn to channel a creative energy efficiently and that we learn to stay centered, grounded, and focused. And although we are not naturally fond of routines, they can really help us stay organized. The second dosha is Pitta, which is associated with the element of fire. Think of people who are highly organized, active, go-getters, type A personalities, and high achievers. They tend to have more discipline and willpower than the other archetypes. They have no difficulty taking action and following through on their ideas. And contrary to Vata people, they love routines and structure. The downside is that when their Pitta is out of balance, when it's too intense, they can become sort of fiery. They can get impatient, frustrated, and also tend to overwork themselves. So it's very important for this type of person to incorporate leisure and also time to rest into their schedule and to make sure to practice self-care. Downtime and relaxation are essential for Pitta people. The third archetype is Kapha, and it's associated with the element of earth. So just like the earth, their element, Kapha people tend to be naturally grounded and present. They tend to have a friendly nature and also a calm, relaxed, and I would say nurturing energy. On the downside, when their Kapha is out of balance, when it's too intense, they can become sort of lethargic and stuck and stagnant. To balance out an excess Vata, one can add more variety in their routine. For example, try new activities or new hobbies or even different cuisines. So I've talked more about the mental aspects of each dosha, but each archetype also has its own physical strength and weaknesses, and there are also certain types of food that are more appropriate for each archetype. So I highly recommend that you take the quiz to figure out your predominant archetype, because then you'll learn about ways that you can take better care of yourself. I'll put the link to a couple of quizzes that you can take in the description below. But before, I want to talk about the second personality test. This personality test will help you build or break habits and also achieve your goals faster. And it's to discover your tendency out of the 4 tendencies. So this concept of the 4 tendencies comes from the book The 4 Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin. And it's about how we respond to inner and outer expectations. Inner expectations are the expectations that we set for ourselves. For example, New Year's resolutions. Outer expectations can be things like a deadline or a rule that you need to follow or a request from a friend, for example. So I'll quickly explain the 4 tendencies, and I think you'll already know which one you are, but then I'll also tell you where you can take the test or the quiz so that you can confirm what you thought. So the first tendency is the upholder. Upholders meet both inner expectations and outer expectations without any problem. They can easily meet deadlines, they follow the rules and instructions, and they also have the discipline to follow through on their commitments to themselves. For example, going to the gym or quitting sugar. This personality type has no problem building or breaking habits. They can easily do what they know they should do, even when they don't feel like it. The downside is that because of their need to always follow the rules and the instructions, other people can perceive them as like too strict and uptight. I have a feeling that many upholders are also Pitta dosha. The second tendency is the obliger. It's the largest group with 40% of the population. Obligers easily meet outer expectations like deadlines or requests from other people, but they struggle to meet their own expectations, their expectations for themselves. For example, an obliger that wants to get in shape might have difficulty going to the gym if there's no external pressure pushing them to go. To meet their expectations for themselves, they absolutely need external accountability. The good thing is that it's usually not that hard to find accountability. For example, to get in shape, someone could hire a coach or a trainer, a personal trainer, or find like a gym buddy. The third tendency is the questioner. Questioners question everything and they need to know the ins and outs of a situation or a request before they can make a decision. Their motto is why. In the 4 tendencies, Gretchen Rubin wrote, questioners show a deep commitment to information, logic, and efficiency. They want to gather facts, decide for themselves, and act with good reason. They object anything they consider arbitrary or ineffective. So basically, questioners meet expectations when it makes sense to them. They'll have no problem quitting sugar if they are sure it will improve their health. However, they will refuse to meet any expectation if it seems unjustified. The main downside of the questioner tendency is that they tend to overanalyze their options, and sometimes they can have difficulty to decide, to make a decision. And the last of the 4 tendencies is the rebel. Rebels fail to meet both inner and outer expectations. They resist all forms of control and even resist the expectations that they set for themselves. The rebel's motto is, I do what I want, when I want, and the way I want. I'm a rebel and I can tell you that it's not always easy. If they want to do anything or accomplish anything, they must really want it. That's the key to their success. Because self-discipline is doing what we know we should do even when we don't feel like it. It's clear that rebels are not disciplined. They are obsessed with freedom, and for them, choice, like the ability to choose, is essential. But the good side is that they can think outside the box, and they are also the ones who usually challenge the status quo, I would say, along with questioners. So do you have an idea of what tendency you may be? I think that knowing your tendency will be so helpful to help you again find the proper strategies for you to build or break habits and achieve your goals. So I'm going to put the link to where you can take a quiz to figure out your tendency in the description below. But before, let's do the last test. Discover your love language. So the last test is the 5 love languages, and it'll help you improve the quality of your romantic relationship, but also the relationships with the people who are close to you, like your close friendships. So the 5 love languages are just 5 different ways of expressing and receiving love. They are words of affirmation, so you can think of compliments, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, like helping someone, and physical touch. So not everyone communicates love and likes to receive love in the same way. For example, my love language is quality time. What's most important to me in a relationship, what makes me feel loved and appreciated, is that my partner, I would say even my friends, give me their undivided attention when they're with me. There's nothing more insulting to me than having a coffee with someone who's constantly looking at their phone. It makes me feel unimportant. And because that's how I like to receive love, it's also how I tend to demonstrate my love and appreciation to other people. But here's where it can get tricky. So let's pretend that my partner's love language is words of affirmation. If I give him my undivided attention, but I never tell him that I love him and appreciate him, he risks not feeling loved. That's because he needs to hear it. And in the same way, if he shows me his love by giving me compliments, I might just not get it. And over time, this sort of misunderstanding could lead to problems in our relationship. By knowing each other's love language, we can better show our appreciation in a way that the other person understands it. I believe that this information can really improve the quality of your love relationship and also of your close friendships. Again, I'll put the link to where you can take the quiz to figure out your love language in the description below. Again, guys, I cannot tell you enough how much these personality tests have helped me. I am not a huge fan of personality tests usually, but these ones are very, very helpful. So I hope you're gonna take just a few minutes for yourself, like to take them, because I believe they can truly improve the quality of your life. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this video was helpful to you. If so, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up. It helps me when you do that. It helps the channel. And that's all. So I wish you a beautiful week, and I'll see you next week.